El Nacional, un periódico para todos, porque lo tiene todo. Lejos de extremos y tendencias, El Nacional es equilibrio informativo. El Nacional, pasaporte indispensable para visitar el universo de la información. Usted tiene la última palabra, que es a fin de cuentas la palabra de México. El Nacional, palabra de México.
In 1428, Masaccio painted scenes from the life of St. Peter for the Brancacci Chapel at Santa Maria del Carmine in Florence. He painted himself among the listeners to Peter's sermon. His biographer, the painter Giorgio Vasari, revealed that the portrait was executed with the help of a mirror. A half-century later, in an epiphany in which Botticelli endows the Magi with traits of the Medici family, the artist appears at the edge of the scene. In the same period, Dürer paints himself at the center of the martyrdom of the 10,000. And on the edge of the adoration of the Trinity. He also uses himself as the subject of his paintings. Within 1 century, the anonymous artisan painter became an entity who dealt with princes, who dared represent himself like them, and who signed his own works. By the 16th century, the self-portrait had become a genre unto itself. Raphael, Parmigianino, Titian, Tintoretto. As for Rembrandt, the self-portrait would become a constant activity. From the age of 20 years until his death at 63, Rembrandt drew, engraved, and painted his own face almost 100 times. As early as his first works, about 1625 or 1626, Rembrandt painted himself in religious scenes. In The Stoning of St. Stephen, he appears in the crowd beside his friend, the painter Jan Lievens. In an unidentified scene from ancient history or the Old Testament, the young Rembrandt may be seen behind the king's scepter. Later, settled at Amsterdam and quite famous, he painted himself and his young wife Saskia in Renaissance costume. Laughing, he raises his glass in front of a table that has been served. The drinker in a tavern, a prostitute on his knee, illustrates the parable of the prodigal son who wastes his fortune. It's also an ironic way to safeguard himself against the temptations of wealth. During the same period, inspired by Rubens, the most celebrated painter of the day, Rembrandt painted The Raising of the Cross. He placed himself in the center among those who crucified Christ. Rembrandt's painting grew and developed in a world marked by religious turmoil. If a man could pass for a sort of free thinker, set somewhat apart from churches, he was impregnated with spiritual tradition. Hermits, philosophers, wise men, magi, priests, prophets, and saints all peopled Rembrandt's paintings. In comparison with these cohorts of meditative characters, Rembrandt represented himself in all sorts of costumes and poses, but in a particular light that he borrowed from Caravaggio and to which he gave new meaning. Rembrandt used chiaroscuro to suggest emotional intensity, revelation, meditation. Vanitas, a genre of painting popular at the time, opened an emblematic space. Objects were arranged so as to create a kind of moral narrative, a chain of permanent meditation. Thus, the self-portrait may be considered to be a counterpoint to Vanitas. It was the image of the individual who, in fact, was the viewer of the Vanitas. The mirror, which so often figures in Vanitas, is